Super Mario Maker 2 is pretty great so far. People are making thousands of levels every single day, with a lot of them being extremely creative. And in all these levels, enemies play a big role, of course. However, which ones are the absolute best for this quite weird building game? Well, today we will find out. Let's dive right in. Number 10. When it comes to underwater enemies, Super Mario games can be quite lackluster. There aren't that many, sadly enough, and some are just too similar to each other, like the different cheap colors. However, in Super Mario Maker 2, there are still some that are way better and more fun to use in levels as well. A good example of this is the Porky Puffers, a different type of cheap that works especially well in the 2D titles. They are gigantic spiked fish that try to hunt you down. Now, this isn't seen in every game, but it is in Super Mario Maker 2, which is a good thing. And another tactic they have is trying to eat you, making them quite dangerous because both its spikes and mouth can be your end. Clearly, it's already way better than any normal cheap. It at least brings something new to the table that no other enemy in the game has. Number 9. Now, a while back I did a video on Super Mario 3D World enemies I would like to see in Super Mario Maker 2, and the Char Vark was one of them. So of course I'm really happy that it ended up in the game. Also, if you want to see that video, you can find it in the upper right corner. In the game, they will follow the player throughout the level and occasionally leap out, going from one side to the other. And as you can imagine, if you get hit by it, then you will get powered down. So when they are around, jumping can be dangerous. Now personally, I like these a lot because they make the levels more lively. There's action in the background and foreground. It's similar in a way to Meowser, who also goes all over the place. But this fiery being is even prettier than the alternate version of Bowser. These things make for an amazing enemy, both adding to the aesthetic of certain levels, as well as being an interesting threat. Number 8. Now in general, I think the stuff Nintendo added from Super Mario 3D World is a lot of fun to play around with in the levels. The game wasn't too popular after all, and a lot of the ideas from it disappeared after the Wii U days, sadly enough. So Super Mario Maker 2 was a great excuse to bring stuff back, and the bully was also one of those great ones that returned with the same design and feel. Although they are sadly enough exclusive to the Super Mario 3D World theme, but still, it's better than nothing. Now they will charge at you just like in any other game, but this can be used in amazing ways when you only give the player a little bit of space. One idea I have for a level is making some sort of arena tower, where you need to work your way up fighting bullies, and if you fall, then the lava will be your end. And at the top I would put a very special one, because when you give them wings, they can fly back up when they're knocked off a ledge. It would make for a very cool level, I think, and in general I think they're a lot of fun. Number 7. Now here we are again, underwater, because our next enemy is also a creature of the sea, the blooper nannies. They move in quite strange ways and can go fast all of a sudden, which can make it quite hard to dodge them. But this version also has smaller ones following it, which makes it even harder to dodge. Now in my opinion, enemies like this are crucial for the game, since underwater levels are gigantic, because you can go almost anywhere. So a foe like this that can move across the entire screen in quite odd ways is extremely effective and can be hard to get away from. And with the limited amount of good underwater enemies, this one is certainly a gem, being seen in a ton of water-based levels, as well as looking really cute in my opinion. Number 6. Now when making levels, there's another type of foe that's really fun to use in levels, ranged enemies. And one of the best ones is the fire piranha plant. They're big and dangerous, and they can shoot fireballs at you. They appear in the Super Mario 3D World style and look a bit different than the normal ones, being black with orange spots, and are able to be defeated by being jumped on. Now using these in your creations is a lot of fun, especially in an elevator level when you add some other enemies to it as well. Now what you do is build an elevator platform that goes up with walls on both sides, and all the player has to do is survive the ride. Here, fire piranha plants could play a great role. Just put them on the side where they can't be harmed, and they can shoot constantly, forcing the player to dodge them. Then just sprinkle some other enemies in here and there, and guess what? You got yourself a great level. And this is just one of the many things you can do with them. Number 5. Now, some enemies in the Super Mario series are a whole lot better than others and were designed really really well. One of those is the Hammer Bros. They are super Koopas that stand upright and throw hammers at you, being the elite of Bowser. And of course, they are also seen in Super Mario Maker 2, and here they can be used to make really difficult levels, because how they throw their hammers makes them very dangerous. The arc just makes it harder to dodge. I even put this in one of my own levels. I made one long course with some obstacles you had to jump over, and above you is a roof of brick blocks with a ton of Hammer Bros on it. So as soon as the level starts, you have to run and jump, and if you're too slow, then the Hammer Bros will have enough time to hit you. It was quite a weird one, but it does show off what you could do with these enemies. Personally, they're one of my favorites of the entire franchise. Number 4. In the game, there are also a number of enemies that work really well with all kinds of mechanical things seen in the game, like tracks. And the chain chomps are a great example of this, because you can combine them with a lot of gizmo stuff seen in the game. Even when you place them normally, you can also do a lot of interesting stuff with them, because you can put them down with a stake so that they are tied down. And if you do this, they can be hanged from suspended blocks or travel along rails. But shaking them causes the stake to disappear, allowing them to hop across the ground like some wild animal, creating a completely different enemy, to be honest. This is what I like about them. With little effort, they can become a lot more aggressive and fast, because the stake will restrict them. And you can even use this in some interesting ways, because if a thwomp falls on the stake holding down the beast, it will be released. That rhymed, that's epic. And as you can imagine, this can be used for some interesting level segments. Clearly, you have a lot of options with them, and this isn't even all. Number 3. Super Mario Maker 2 introduced a ton of new elements, mostly from Super Mario 3D World. However, they also brought back some older things. One of those is the Angry Sun, who wasn't seen in the series for ages, even though it's a great enemy. It works a bit differently though. It now flies on a longer path than usual, due to it now being on a 16:9 screen as opposed to a 4:3, and at night, it is replaced by a moon that defeats all enemies on screen when touched. Now the moon might play nice with you and even takes out all the enemies, but the sun is hell to deal with. And that's why I like it so much. It will just follow you and tries to hit you while flying around. Now you can mostly use this in high-speed running levels, a level that goes up where you need to go from one platform to another, and more. It can play a small and annoying role in levels, harassing the player while they try to beat the level, swooping down every now and then. It will make it all a lot harder, but they can play a fun role for sure. Number 2. Now, while Super Mario Maker games are not the most creative, they sometimes...
What do you mean not creative, Wily? Do you hate Mario Maker or something?
Whoa, calm down. That's not what I mean by that. These games just tend to take a lot of elements from older games, instead of making their own things. But there are some elements seen in this game that were originally born in the Super Mario Maker titles, like the Fire Koopa Clown Car. Now they are similar to normal clown cars from games like Super Mario World, but they have one extra power. It has a flame design on its cheek. So, as you can imagine, you can shoot fireballs when riding in it, in a similar manner to Fire Mario, but fly more straight. And if you hold down the button, it will shoot larger fireballs that can even destroy blocks. And if you already have a fire flower, you will shoot double. But while this is already quite good, you can go a step further even. If you're under the effects of a big mushroom, it will become even more powerful. Now this is a great thing to use to either power up an enemy or make the gameplay more interesting. Just imagine an auto-scroller level similar to stuff seen in Super Mario Land, or a portion where a bunch of enemies are inside of these and will attack you from the sky. I like the idea of them a lot, and their design is also amazing, making them one of my favorites. Number 1. Also, you know in the upper right corner there are more videos and you can click subscribe and click the bell button? You know you can do that. Please do that. Help out the channel. Thank you. Now let's go on. Now we get to the creme de la creme, and this one isn't really an enemy, but it is labeled as one in the game. I'm talking about the Koopa Troopa car. Now when you encounter it in a level, a Beach Koopa initially occupies it and attempts to run into you. But if you jump on him, you can take control of the car and drive around like a madman, which is a lot of fun of course. but crashing too many times will destroy it, so they sadly enough aren't unbreakable. Now as an enemy they're pretty bad. You can easily take them out and people only really use them when they want players to ride around in one. However, while it's only used in such a way, they are incredibly fun to mess around with, making them my favorite for sure. Some people have made some great Mario Kart inspired tracks with them and more, with all of them being tons of fun. Something like this was never seen in the series before, and to be honest, it's a great addition to the game.